We're going to start with the new sixth chapter. So sixth chapter is called Sankhya Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. Different names are there, but anyway, Prabhupada used the word Sankhya Yoga. So this chapter begins with directly Lord speaking. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha. You can see your Bhagavad Gita copies. You can see Lord Krishna is speaking, right? So what Lord Krishna is going to speak is a continuation of what he has spoken in fifth chapter. So chapter 5 and chapter 15 and even I think chapter 7. These are the three chapters where Arjuna is not speaking. Krishna is continuing to speak. Arjuna is not asking questions. Krishna is continuing to speak. Okay. So in that way, whereas chapter 6, Arjuna does ask a question in between. Right? In fact, 2-3 places he asks two places he asks questions. So what did Arjuna ask in chapter 5? Arjuna's question was right. What is whether I should perform work without attachment or should I take up sannyasa? Right? The word of sannyasa. So sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha shamshasi. Right? First of all, you asked me to renounce work, and now you are again telling me to or recommending me to work with devotion. So tell me properly what is the best. So Krishna took this opportunity to explain to Arjuna, sannyasa and work in devotion both are good, but I prefer work in devotion. Why? Because sannyasa in the present context is not practical for everybody, because sannyasa is a stage of complete renunciation wherein one has to go through a step-by-step process in the varnashrama, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. And the people in the present age, they are not trained in this varnashrama, so it is not recommended as per Lord Krishna, and he gives the elaborate description of how to work in devotion. Right? That's what we discussed in the chapter 5. And to work in devotion, we have to have a proper frame of mind, and we have to have a proper background with regard to whom you are working for. Right? All that is part of the aspect of work in devotion. And while describing this, Krishna also mentioned that the first and foremost aspect of any yoga, for that matter, will be to control the mind. Right? Control the mind, have the intelligence being properly directed. This is what the whole thing demands. So Krishna hinted out in the 5th chapter towards the end that there is a specific process called Ashtanga Yoga. The 8 limbs of one yoga system called Ashtanga Yoga, which is going to help us in controlling the mind. Controlling the mind means wherein you are able to streamline your desires in one direction, not allowing the mind to think anything and everything, and you're free from fear and anger. Vigatecha bhaya krodho. Right? So this is one standard process, authentic process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? Just like work in devotion, karma yoga is one authentic process. So the Dhyana yoga, others, the Ashtanga yoga is one more process, authentic process, which can be practiced. So Krishna is going to give the principles of this yoga in the beginning of this chapter 6. Right? He's going to elaborate in detail after giving some principles. So he begins the same vocabulary, what he was using, the vocabulary of sannyasa, yoga, in the beginning of the sixth chapter. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, verse number 1. Anashita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriyah. Krishna is telling the Supreme Personality of God. Whenever Lord Krishna is addressing the author, Vyasadeva is telling it is Bhagavan. What does Bhagavan mean? Bhagavan means one who is having all the various opulences in full.
6 opulences.
6 opulences, right? As we have understood in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada explained that Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashasasriyaha Jnana Vairagyaschaiva Shannam Bhaga Itingana. Right? Complete riches, Aishwaryasya, all the riches of this entire world, all the strength, power. Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashaha. Yashaha means fame, most famous personality. And Shri means most beautiful. And Jnana means most knowledgeable. His Bhagavad Gita is so wonderful, right? We have to study whole life to understand what is the purpose of life, what is the subject matter in this. And his aspect of renunciation, Tyaga, that is the highest. I mean, that level of renunciation nobody can have. So everything is complete in Lord Krishna. That is Bhagavan. So that Bhagavan who is having all the 6 opulences in full, who is without any defects like us. All of us have 4 defects. Anybody knows what are the 4 defects?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The propensity to cheat, then illusion, propensity
Imperfect
to imperfect senses,
then,
and
tendency to make mistakes.
Yes, commit mistakes. Always you commit mistakes. Mistake, sorry. Right? So to commit mistakes, imperfect senses, to be illusioned, and cheating. Right? This is our 4 defects. So Krishna is beyond these defects. Krishna and pure devotees are beyond these defects. That's why he is transcendental. See, all this you have to understand basic concepts. Okay, so that personality is speaking, who is without defects, who is having all opulences, he is above the modes, he is transcendental, he is speaking. So his words are perfect. So what is he speaking? He is telling, Anashita karma phalam. Karma phala means activity you do and you expect a result from an activity. Right? Anashita means one who is not depending on the karma phala. Right? One who is not depending, unattached to the fruits of work, and he is doing it as an obligation. Karyam karma karoti yaha. He does it as a duty.
Yes.
Right? I'm not depending on the result of the work, but I'm doing it as a duty. Such a person is called a sannyasi or yogi. See, the same terms which Arjuna asked as a question, sannyasa, yoga, all that thing, all those words, Krishna is continuing to use in 6th chapter beginning. So who is a sannyasi or yogi? Who is not attached to the fruits of his work and is obliged to work as a duty. I have to do it as my duty. And Krishna further says, not that I am running away from my duties. Na niragnir na chakriyaha. He who lights no fire and he who performs no duty. Okay. So this is a very wonderful verse. It is actually giving the principles of who is actually a true yogi or a true sannyasi. Right? So there are various classes of transcendentalists. There are impersonalists who also have a order of sannyasa, who also take up sannyasa. And there are Vaishnava who take up sannyasa. So sannyasa is the last order of varnashrama, wherein when one gives up everything, all connections with family, with society and everything, and is completely dedicating himself for the cause of the absolute truth. In fact, sannyasa is called social suicide. Okay, you are dead for society, one sense, but you are completely absorbed in Lord's service. Right? Sannyasa means you are given up everything for Sat. You are renounced everything for Sat. So, before beginning to describe the details of the Ashtanga Yoga, eightfold yoga system, Krishna is telling that in this world, everyone is acting for some result. Everyone is acting with some attachment to result for personal self and extended self. Personal self is the body, extended self is the family, friends, society, country, right? Like this. So everybody is working with some self-interest, swartha, right? So nobody is working without any personal self-interest, personal sense gratification, right? So Prabhupada uses a word, it is either concentrated or extended. Concentrated means I'm concerned about my body, my bodily, happiness, my bodily comforts. This is called personal self gratification, right? First, me. It's like the kids. Anything you give them, they want to put it in their mouth. They think everything is eatable. Me, I want, right? Prabhupada gives the example. Kids are like, like they have still their intelligence is not developed. Just like there's some food kept. The kid wants to take and eat. Doesn't matter who is there, who is not there. I want to eat. Similarly, if you keep some plate of food in front of animals, animal would like to grab it as much as they want. Right? They are not worried. Oh, I have my friend, my relatives, my wife, my children. No, I have to eat. That's it. So that is personal gratification. That's what the world has become now. I am happy, fine. Others go to hell. Right? That is the philosophy as of now. So in that way, you see, personal gratification is called concentrated gratification or extended gratification. Extended means, oh, no, I have my family, my sister, my brother, so many things, right? We have so many people, community, society. We have, RWA, Resident Welfare Association. So all concerns, right? We think in one level and there are politicians, oh, we have a big state, we have a country, and there are people thinking about international levels, so many countries. There's a, World Economic Forum going on in Davos, in Switzerland. They're all meeting together to discuss big things, world climate and that, this and all. So like this, different levels people are having, either based on their understanding, either it is concentrated or extended gratification. So Prabhupada says, this all, is all actually not anashrita, it is ashrita. Ashrita means you are depending or you want to have something for you. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj says in Bhagavata, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu.
Yes.
Swartha gati means nobody is there who does not have a proper understanding that what is my real self-interest. They don't know what is the real self-interest. They all think real self-interest is my extended gratification, sense gratification is the self-interest. Right? So Prahlad Maharaj says, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Our real self-interest is Vishnu. This nobody knows. So Prabhupada says, the perfection or the criterion of perfection will be when you act in Krishna consciousness, not with the view of enjoying the fruits of work. So this is something which Krishna has been explaining gradually from chapter 2. Right? We are his part and parcel. We belong to him. We have to serve him. That is what our actual situation is. Prabhupada gives example of a finger. Finger, when it is attached to the body, it has all the importance. And it is part of the body. It is going to be part of the whole arrangement in the body to work for the body. If this finger is cut off for some reason and it is lying somewhere, it has no value. Right? Likewise, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. So long we are connected to Krishna, in our activities, we have value. Otherwise, once we are disconnected or not having any connection with regard to our existence, we have no bearing. Then it is like we are having no value in one sense. So like this, basically, what Krishna is trying to tell us is to act in Krishna consciousness, to act in this background understanding that I belong to Krishna, I am part and parcel of Krishna. We have to act in Krishna, act in this consciousness is the duty of every living entity. Karyam. The real duty is to work in devotional service to Krishna. Once you don't do this activity, then it is like you're not doing your duty, right? Krishna also explained about the duty in the second chapter. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, right? So the duty aspect Krishna brought in when he was telling that yes, you have a right to perform your duty, but you're not you're not entitled for the fruits of action. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So performance of duty is your right, but you're not entitled for the fruits. So where the fruits have to go, now Krishna is giving us clarity here. Fruits have to go to him because he is the source of everything. He is the source of you also. So Prabhupada is saying, the parts of the body work for satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Right? Same example, the finger. Similarly, living entity who acts for satisfaction of supreme whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. So this is the background consciousness which we have to act with. But I belong to Krishna, I have to act for Krishna. If this consciousness is lacking, then whatever externally you show off that I have renounced everything, that is of no use. What you have renounced? Prabhupada gives a very nice example in context. He says, I was a tenant of a house. I have, while my tenure is over of tenancy, then I tell the owner, I am giving back this house to you. This house never belonged to you. You are a tenant. What are you giving back? Right. So like that, we simply want to show as though, oh, I am renouncing. I did so big things, so I renounced so many things. Nothing belongs to you. What is there for you to renounce? Right? Proper acting with the proper understanding, everything belongs to Krishna. This is what Krishna explained in the 5th chapter, right? Verse number 10. He said that Padma Patram Ivambhasa Brahmanyadhaya Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Karotya Lipyate Nasa Papena Padma Patram Ivambhasa. Should act, should perform your duty. See, Krishna also is using the word duty here. Karmani. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So why Krishna is recommending to work in this way? Because when you act for your own satisfaction, for your own personal gratification, it's going to entangle you. Yagnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. 3rd chapter, right? 3rd chapter, 9th verse. So like this, Krishna has given all the background understanding now. He's trying to further give us more finer understanding as we move forward. So here, anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotya. So a sannyasi or a yogi is that person who is performing his duty of Krishna consciousness, which is very essential for everybody because we are all part and parcel of Krishna, without depending or rather without being attached to the fruits of action. Because we are conditioned to become attached to the results of our activities. I want to enjoy the results of my activities. So Prabhupada also explained in the previous chapter, in verse number 26, 5th chapter, he gave the verse from Bhagavatam, 4th canto, telling how this tendency of fruitive mentality or other tendency to enjoy the fruits is so deep rooted, so conditioned that it is not easy to take out, because everything we expect, what I'll get in that, what is that I can get, how I can get. So we are all very anxious in that way. We are conditioned to act in that way. So, Krishna is giving the proper understanding here. Real sannyasi or yogi means who is not attached to any results of whatever activity he does it as a duty. What comes, what results Krishna awards, I'll accept it. Right. Whereas ordinarily a person acts and he becomes attached to results. If good results come, he's very happy. If the results are not very conducive or not very favorable, he becomes very depressed. That is how the ordinary worker works. Whereas a worker who is rather a person who is a devotee or a sadhaka in the practice of Krishna consciousness, he is acting in a different way. That's what Krishna wants to say. Basically, Krishna is trying to refer here a sannyasi or a yogi. Right? So Prabhupada is further giving the understanding of Krishna's last statement in this verse. Na chagnir na kriyaha. Right? Na chakriyaha. So, what does it mean? The sannyasis, especially in the impersonal school, impersonalists, sannyasis, they artificially think that they have become liberated. Vimukta maninaha, the statement in the Bhagavata. The prayers offered by the Devatas when to Lord Krishna in the womb of Devaki. So there's a nice prayer called Garbha Stuti. Right? In that particular one prayer, they say, the impersonalists, they think that they have become liberated. Just coming out of this material existence and merging in the impersonal Brahman, they think it is liberation for them. Yes, that is one level of liberation, but it is not ultimate. Because that level of liberation is actually unstable. Anytime we can again fall down. Prabhupada explains how when you are traveling continuously in the ship for a long time, few days, or in the air, the flight for maybe many hours, you become bored. You want to come land in a place and want to be part of the whole community, right? People and activities. It's like that. So staying in impersonal Brahman without any activity is not feasible or not practical for the living entity, because living entity by nature is active always. Krishna explained in 3rd chapter. Nahi kashchit kshanam api jatadishtyat akarmakrat. 3.5. Right? Every moment the living entity is active. It has to be active. So this point Krishna again and again brings it up here. So sannyasi who is thinking artificially that he has become liberated from all material duties, so he doesn't perform. He's supposed to not perform any duties in one sense, like Agnihotra sacrifices. Agni, basically, Krishna says, Agni means they are supposed to perform some homas, yagnas, as per the Vedic rituals. So they cease to perform some Agnihotras, yagnas, and perform any other activities which normally a person has to perform as his duties. But because their intention is what? To become one with the Supreme Brahman, impersonal Brahman. That is the self-interest. That is not the ultimate interest. Devotees of Krishna doesn't want to become one with Krishna. They want to become, rather they want to remain as servant of Krishna, which is a natural situation. Right? Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. So this is what our real situation is. So this desire to become one with the impersonal Brahman is a material desire. Right? When you can't become anything in the material world, I tried to become, I entered politics. I couldn't get a seat. I want to become that. I want to become this. Nothing. So I want to become God. That is again a material desire. One more desire. Prabhupada says is the last snare of Maya. So like this aspect of merging with the impersonal Brahman is also not a pure desire with regard to devotional aspect. So that way, Krishna's way of presentation here is that this self-interest of merging himself with the Supreme is not the proper understanding. We remain as subservient to Krishna always. That is the actual desire which we are supposed to have. This is lacking in the impersonalists. So in that way, they're giving up duties of performing homas or activities. It is not proper. Whereas a Krishna conscious devotee, because he is completely surrendered to Krishna and is doing activities all connected to Krishna, For him, even if he has not done some duties, just like there's a nice statement in the Bhagavatam, and there are so many obligations for all of us, right? There are obligations. Devarshi bhutapta nunam pitranam. The statement in Bhagavatam is mentioned. We have obligated to devatas because they are giving us so many necessities of life. Sun is giving us so much sunlight, and moonshine. Like this, all devatas, so many devatas are providing so many necessities of our life. But they are not asking us any charge, give me charges. What we are supposed to give charge to them as per the Vedic regulations, which we understood in 3rd chapter. So, devatas, we are obliged. We have many great sages have given us wonderful Vedic literatures. We are obliged to them. Devarshi, Bhutapta, Rishi, Bhuta. Bhuta means many living entities around us. Like we are having milk, getting from cow. So cow, we are obliged, even though we say, oh, we are paying money, no. But if even if you pay 1,000 rupees or other so much money, if there is no milk, cow doesn't give milk, where you'll go, right? The milk or the honey, what you use, unless a honeybee is going to collect it from the proper way, in the designed way, how will you get honey, right? Like this, the different things what we are utilizing in our day-to-day life, we are all dependent on so many entities like this, living entities, so many other people around us who are all part of our, cooperative way in helping us, and our forefathers, Pitranam. So like this, Bhagavatam says, we are in one sense obligated, rini, we're debtors for so many people around us, so many things around us. How are you going to nullify this debt? Not easy. You go on nullifying, or rather start paying for that, paying for those various favors you have got. How long you'll pay? You can't complete in your life. It will take many lifetimes. So it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam very clearly. Unless when you surrender to Mukunda, Krishna, who is the actually source of everything, your surrender is perfect. And that way you become Rina Mukta, Rina Mochana. Right? You will become free from all the rinas. Rin means debts. Right? So like this, obligations, you want to become free, only this, Lord, you are surrendered to Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam bhaja. Any other thing you do, it is not complete. Only to Krishna you do, because he is the source of everything, that is complete. So, Krishna conscious person, or a devotee, he has no personal gratification, or has no personal interest in any of the activities. He is acting only for the satisfaction of Krishna. That's all. He has no personal desire. Right? So Prabhupada says, his criterion of success is what? Satisfaction of Krishna. That's all. Prabhupada uses the word criterion 2 times. Criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? To act for satisfaction of Krishna only. Anything else you do, it is entanglement for you. It is not highest. Right? And Prabhupada says, he is that perfect sannyasi, he is the perfect yogi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has nicely explained this in his teachings of Shikshashtaka, the 4th verse. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmarishware bhavatad bhakti rahaitu kitvayi. I don't want wealth, na dhanam. I don't want followers, janam. I don't want, association with opposite sex, na sundari. I don't want kavita, means glorification, which people are all behind now. I want wealth. I want followers. I want association with opposite sex. I want glorification. People are running behind them. If you analyze anybody's life, what are they looking for? Oh, I want to earn more wealth. I want to get power. I want to get position. I want to get name, fame, power. Like this, people are only behind these things. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says we have to give up all these things. What I want, Krishna, is that even I don't get mukti, I don't bother. I only want life after life, your service. Pure, unalloyed service. See, this is what you're supposed to desire. If this is what you're supposed to work for. Right now, our material life is conditioned with a lot of material desires from very gross to subtle gradations of desires. That's why we are taking bodies here. So this is the first instruction Krishna is giving. A true sannyasi or a perfect sannyasi or a perfect yogi is he who is only acting for satisfaction of Krishna and nobody else. Right? His only criterion is how to please Krishna. There is no tinge of any personal gratification. Right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that perfectional symbol, Prabhupada says, of renunciation. A true sannyasi, true mystic, a true yogi. Right? So that is what it is. And any other thing, simply you make a show of renunciation, unless it is for Krishna's satisfaction, it is of no use. It's simply a show. You may attract some foolish, ignorant people and get their appreciation. That's all. But true renunciation is when it is only for Krishna's satisfaction. It's like the gopis. They were the highest, topmost sannyasis, topmost yogis. When Uddhava met the gopis in Vrindavan, he was telling, you are the highest yogi. Even yogis are struggling to focus their minds on Krishna because they have so many desires within their hearts. Whereas you are so naturally, spontaneously thinking of Krishna and meditating on Krishna, and you're 24 hours engaged in Krishna thoughts, that you are the topmost and highest yogis. Right? So let's go to the next verse. Verse number 2. Yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpa yogi bhavati kaschana. Krishna is continuing to give us the principles of yoga system. These are all common in any yoga system. Okay. So he's stating the yoga principles of yoga system. Yoga means what? The linking process, the connecting process. The plus with Krishna. Right now it is minus. Right? It is viyoga or ayoga, as Krishna explained in 5th chapter. It has to be yogataha. It's connected to Krishna. So again, Krishna is telling yam sannyasam iti prahu. What is called renunciation? Yogam tam vidhi panda is same as yoga. Once it is repetition. Yoga, sannyasa are all same. Now, what is the main criteria? Nahi asanyasta sankalpa. And there is no desire for sense gratification. Right? Now, if you remember, in 4th chapter, there's a nice, beautiful verse Krishna uses in the 19th verse, 4th chapter. Krishna uses Kama Sankalpa Varjita. Yasya Sarve Samarambha Kama Sankalpa Varjita. Yeah. So Krishna said that one is understood to be in full knowledge when in every act he is devoid of desire for sense gratification. What is Kama Sankalpa? Kama Sankalpa means your false belief of pleasures. This is going to give me happiness. Now, if I act like this is going to give me pleasure. This is called Kama Sankalpa. So Krishna says, this Kama Sankalpa Varjita, you have to give up. Right now, we are Kama Sankalpa Sahita. So when you become Kama Sankalpa Varjita, Varjita means when you are devoid of. Every action is devoid of desire for sense gratification. Right? So, same concept here. He asanyasta sankalpa. Asanyasta means unless you give up the desire for sense gratification, unless you renounce the desire for sense gratification, you cannot be called a yogi. Which means modern day, so many yoga societies and so many yoga, so-called yoga practices, which people say some asana, some pranayama, just doing that for some time and again indulging in sense gratification, senses. They want to smoke, they want to drink, they want to have a life of extravagancy. That is not called yoga. It's not called a yogi. No, yogi means what? As Krishna's standard is very high. He says, Nahi asanyasta sankalpa. Unless the desire for sense gratification is renounced completely, he cannot be called a yogi. Very clear. Very, very clear. Prabhupada says, real sannyas yoga or bhakti means that one should know the constitutional position of who you are. Right? So all this understanding why Krishna is giving the basic background of knowledge that we are part and parcel of Krishna. What is my true constitutional position. Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. My real position is I am part and parcel of Krishna. I have no independent existence. Right? I am the marginal energy of Krishna. Right now, because I am marginal energy, Tatastha Shakti, I come under the influence of Maya. I am conditioned. Right? I have to again regain my original situation of being with Krishna. This understanding he has very clearly. Right? So in that way, he acts in every action. What he does is how to become free from this conditioning. Whereas a person who is not aware of this or not having this understanding, background understanding, he's acting in a way which is making him more and more entangled. But a nice example Prabhupada gives. When you look around us, so many living entities, so many insects, so many animals, so many birds, trees. What are they actually? Actually, they are all spirit souls, as we understood in 5th chapter. Krishna says, 5th chapter, 18th verse. What does he say? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Cheva Shapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. Samadarshana. All are spirit souls. In body of a elephant, a dog eater, a brahmana, all are spirit souls, but they have got different dresses. Right? When you look around us, this is the vision you are supposed to develop, as Krishna explains in 5th chapter. I am very fortunate to have a human body wherein I can see these things. Other living entities cannot see. So Prabhupada says, other living entities are all simply going through different terms of imprisonment in their different bodies, under specific species of life. All is explained in Bhagavad Gita very clearly. It's not simply something, we don't know what is going on. Everything is clearly explained. So, why Krishna is recommending that you have to become devoid of, or you have to renounce the desire for sense gratification, is that more sense gratification means more entanglement. More you'll be, again getting more and more bodies. More material existence will continue. Right? So this is what Krishna is going to repeat again and again. So it is an important point which we have to understand clearly. So the proper understanding, proper knowledge means what? You completely give up sense gratification, material sense gratification. Renounce all kinds of sense gratificatory activities. Right? That is the whole purpose of yoga. Yoga means to discipline you, to yoga indriya samyama. Yoga means to control senses and direct your activities for absorbing your mind in the supreme absolute truth. That is the purpose of any yoga system. So, yogis are trained to restrain the senses. If they are not trained, means simply indulging in sense gratification and making a show of, I'm doing some yoga, is a mockery. It's a farce, Prabhupada says. Right? So, simultaneously, Prabhupada is giving the very nice understanding of Krishna conscious principle, just like we understood in the first verse. The duty of everyone is to act as a devotee of Krishna without being attached to results of his work. Right? Not simply in the name of renunciation, I'm wearing some dress of a sannyasi, or I'm simply showing I've become a big sadhu. Right? I'm doing that. But heart is full of desires. Krishna says that he is a pretender, right, in 3rd chapter. So like this, what is that real sannyasi, real yogi? Is not simply by looks. What is your consciousness with what you're going to work in this world? What is your background understanding, background knowledge? Right? In the 2nd verse, Krishna is further confirming this, that a sannyasi or a yogi, both are same, because both of them are actually acting for linking oneself with the Supreme. Right? So, in that way, a yogi is that person who, unless he is renounced the desire for sense gratification, he cannot be called a yogi. A Krishna conscious person, Prabhupada says very clearly, he is actually a sannyasi and a yogi. Right? Because he is only acting for satisfaction of Krishna. He has no other motive. Whereas unless you come to this platform of acting for Krishna, you have to act. Just like I give the example of an impersonalist. Being in the, merging with impersonal Brahman, Brahma Jyoti is not stable. Why? Because Atma cannot be inactive. It wants activity. So these impersonalists, even though they become liberated, called Sayujya Mukti from this material world, they again come back and take up various material activities. You see, many schools, colleges, hospitals, social activities being performed by these impersonalists. To name a few, Ramakrishna Ashram is an impersonalist school of thought. Right? So you may ask, oh, what is wrong, Prabhuji? So nice, no? School, college, everything. Right? It is all good, but thing is, it is government work, not your work. Okay, so somebody who not doing any spiritual activity means it should be focused on giving spiritual knowledge to people, doing social activities and propagating one more thought of idea or school of understanding with regard to Daridra Narayana or you're all God. That is wrong. Right? Prabhupada says when you actually give Krishna conscious understanding to people, that is the highest welfare activity. Any other thing you do is only social welfare. Okay, you will get some punya. Right? But if you want to, punya, papa, again is entangling. You get punya, you go to heavens, again you fall down, again go, like, what is happening? It's like a will o' the wisp. So like that, like in a fair, you see that big round, it's going up and down, like that you're going on in the material world. What is the use? Krishna says. So the point here is, unless the desire is for Lord Krishna's service, Anya Vilashita Shunyam Gyan Karma Dinavratam. Rupa Goswami says, unless the desire is only for serving Krishna, Krishnanukulanam, Krishnanushilanam, right? So unless it is followed the footsteps of great devotees and serve Krishna in that way, favorably means, Prabhupada explains, and you know what is the mind of Krishna and you're acting only for Krishna's satisfaction. That is called favorable. Right? Not that whatever I want, I will do. No. That is what it is. That's called asankalpa. Asanyasta sankalpa. Right? So Krishna is very nicely telling yoga, sannyasa are all same. A true yogi is actually working towards connecting with Krishna and he has no desire for sense gratification. Right? Simple. And in third and fourth verse, Krishna says, when a practitioner begins his yoga, he begins from scratch. That stage is called Yoga Ruksha. Right? Yoga Ruksha. And once he becomes mature in his practice, is called Yoga Rudha. Just like a student who has just joined, is a beginner, and once he has gone through all the classes and he has mature, he has become very expert. He is expert student, right? Beginning student, expert student. So Krishna explains this aspect in the verse 3 and 4. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rudhasya tasyeva shamak karanam uchyate. So yoga ruksha means the beginning stage of yoga when I started practicing. For him, there are many recommendations to act always. Karma karana muchyate. Karma means actions. Just like this Ashtanga yoga also, when you're supposed to begin, you're supposed to follow yama, niyama, many rules, regulations, do's and don'ts. Asana is supposed to perform many exercises you have to perform. All basically to control senses and control your mind. Right? Asana, pranayama, withdrawing the senses from different sense objects, pratyahara. Then you have to focus, dharana, so that you're trying to ward off all the disturbances within the mind and trying to focus on that super soul within the heart, dharana. Then that intensifies as dhyana. Like this, different activities one has to do. Right? So Prabhupada always bring parallel with Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness also, we are supposed to we are supposed to be engaged every moment for Krishna's service. Moment to moment Krishna's service. Prabhupada says, If you have, if your regular duties are over with your household or your whatever responsible activities as part of the family, you have to chant, or if not chanting, read. If not reading, do some spiritual activity. Right? Don't be idle. Idle mind is devil's workshop. As soon as you're idle, Maya comes. Very nice way. Right? Nowadays, Maya is within your hand only, in your pocket only. Yeah. Mobile. Right? She's right there. one button only you have to click. Right? Option, either enter or leave. Two are the options. Right? Either you can enter nicely and then go and fully become entangled in Maya, or you can come out and hear some Krishna conscious, lectures or whatever it is. So it is like that. Maya is so wonderfully acting. Earlier, at least, mobile was not there. You have to go. This is a nice story in Bhagavatam. Ajamila, actually, his father had told him to go to forest and pick up some flowers for the puja. There, he accidentally happened to see one very low-class man and one prostitute. They're engaged in some illicit activities. That actually agitated his mind. Right? He became so absorbed in that after coming back also, that he had to give up his good wife and everybody, and then he had to bring the prostitute home. Prabhupada says today, not only once, children, all people are exposed to this every day, every moment. Right? Advertisements, billboards. What is our situation? It's vulnerable, so dangerous. From the very beginning, children are being exposed like this. What will happen? So this is our situation right now. So the point I'm trying to make here is, unless we are not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, there is every possibility of Maya attacking. Right? Maya is ready to attack anytime. Right? So Maya is always ready, but so we have to endeavor. Right now, our endeavor is how to keep Krishna in our consciousness. That's why when chanting also, if you are not hearing what you are chanting, then Maya has entered. Your background music is going on, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But behind in the mind, your thought process going on. Oh, that happened, this happened, what to do, this, oh, many things going on. Right? So multitasking is going on. That is what is going on. So that's what. Unless Krishna is in our consciousness, Maya is ready to there. Maya will be there. So for a beginner, we are all beginners. We are supposed to engage in activities of Krishna consciousness so that Maya is away. Right? If you don't do this, then Maya one day will occupy our major portion of our understanding, and again, there is every chance of giving up activity of yoga. That is the risk. That's why Krishna is recommending, for a beginner, activities are recommended, because unless you are active, you cannot be away from Maya. And for an advanced person, yoga rudhasya tasyeva shamakkarana muchyate. And a person who is advanced, for him, Krishna says, cessation of all material activities. Right? He's supposed to, he has already practiced engaging in yoga practices so nicely that he's able to control his mind. Like Prabhupada, even though he may be sitting and doing nothing in one sense from our side, from our vision, but he's absorbed in Krishna conscious thoughts. Right? In our case, if you don't have that aspect, we have to practice that actually. We have to first hear Shravanam, then we have to Mananam. We have to again and again recollect what we have heard. Shravanam, Mananam, Dhyanam. Then we have to contemplate on that, what we have heard. And in that way, try to apply those principles in our practical life. Right? Smaranam, Shravanam, Mananam, Dhyanam, and Anushilanam. Then what happens? the old conditioned way of thinking, perceptions and conceptions will all be taken away. And what is actual perception, conception will be, slowly getting, it's replaced, right, with the real understanding. So many things are there conditioned. Oh, that way, this way, that all should go. For that, you have to repeatedly hear, repeatedly remember, contemplate, and try to follow that in every aspect of life. It's like I give you example of when you see things around you, how you should see. You should see everybody as spirit soul. Right? So like this. So for a person to get to that level, it requires practice. Right? So this ultimately of this ultimate stage of perfection of not performing any material activity, wherein senses are completely controlled. Right? That is just like a yogi, even this Ashtanga yogi coming to the stage of Samadhi, he's not doing anything. We get the example of Shamika Rishi. When Parikshit Maharaj, he went on for hunting. He was very tired and fatigued, and he was looking for some place where he can get some water. He accidentally entered a sage, ashram of a sage. That sage was actually in deep meditation. He was in Samadhi. Right? That sage name is Shamika Rishi. And because Parikshit didn't get any response from this sage, it was all Lord's will. He thought this sage is insulting me. So he took a dead snake nearby and he garlanded the dead snake and he went away because he has not respected a king. It is a punishment which I'm going to give him. And when this news reached the son of this sage, by name Shringi, was playing with his friends, with a small boy. He was furiated. He was very angry. And immediately he on the spot cursed any king, whoever that king is, who has garlanded insulted my father, he should die within 7 days by the bite of a snake. That's how Parikshit got that curse. So this sage, Shamika Rishi, was in deep meditation, Samadhi. He was not doing anything, but he was completely absorbed in Krishna's thoughts. So like this, for advanced Yoga Rudha, there is no activity required to be done. Whereas for a beginners, Yoga Ruksha, they are supposed to perform activities. So Prabhupada says, a Krishna conscious person is situated from the beginning on the platform of dhyana or meditation because he's only thinking of Krishna. Right? How to do this service to Krishna, how to do that service to Krishna, how to preach to people. That way, he's already on an advanced stage. Right? Because he's constantly engaged in service of Krishna, he's already ceased from material activities. Right? So advanced stage means no more material activities, only Krishna conscious activities. That's what it is required. So Krishna says this is what is the difference between a beginner and an advanced yogi. Next, fourth verse, he says, further he explains the advanced stage. Yada hi nendriyartheshu na karmasu anusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudha sadochyate. Yoga rudha means advanced stage of a yoga. Advanced yogi is he who has renounced all material desires. Again, see, sarva sankalpa sannyasi. Right? Kama sankalpa varjita. Same word in a different way Krishna has used here. Right? Sarva sankalpa sannyasi means renouncing all material desires, and he's not acting in any way for sense gratification. Repetition it is. Again, repetition. From first verse, second verse, third verse, fourth verse, repetition. Because something has to be understood properly. Prabhupada says repeat. Right? So, na indriyartheshu, no sense gratification, no act for sense gratification, nor na karma sanusajjate, no fruitive activity means activity for my personal gratification. Results I want to enjoy. That is called fruitive activity. So, advanced yogi is he who has no material desires, who renounced all material desires. Sarva sankalpa sannyasi. And three things Krishna says. No material desires. He doesn't act for sense gratification, and he doesn't engage in fruitive activities. And Prabhupada says it is only possible when a person is Krishna conscious. When a person is fully engaged in transcendental service of Krishna, because he knows Anything else is of no use. No pleasure is there outside. Only Krishna can give me pleasure. He's very much confident on this, or rather, he's very convinced about this whole aspect. Right? In that way, he's no more interested in sense gratification. We understood this in 5th chapter, verses 21, 20. Krishna clearly explained, right? 20, 21, 22. He says, a liberated soul is not attracted to sense pleasure. Bahya sparshe sasakta atma vindati atmani yat sukham. Right? A liberated person is not interested in sense pleasure because he is enjoying a higher pleasure. Right? He knows this sense pleasure has a beginning and an end. He has, and this sense pleasure is the source of misery, continuous source of misery. Yahi samsparsha jab hoga, dukkha yonaya evate adi antavantaha. So, a devotee knows, a sadhaka knows, sense pleasure has no, dum in that. Right? Simply, it gives some feeling of pleasure, but it is a source of misery. So he's not interested in sense gratification. He has no material desires, and he's not engaging in any fruitive activity. Right? He's doing only for any activity he does. Is only for activity does for Krishna's satisfaction. Right? So Prabhupada says, Krishna conscious person do everything for satisfaction of Krishna. Whatever he does, it may look like ordinary activity for an outside person. Like I'm going to market, one more person is going to market. Both of us are purchasing some vegetables. But my way of working is what? I am taking these vegetables for Krishna, for cooking for Krishna, for his satisfaction. Whereas one more person adjacent to me, he is purchasing vegetables for his personal or external gratification. Me and my family have to enjoy purchasing of these vegetables. See how the difference is? This is the point. So, unless you have this realization, Prabhupada says, you cannot come out of this conditioning, because soul has to be active. You have to work for yourself or for your extended self. Me and my family, me and mine. So in yoga system, what happens? With Ashtanga yoga, what happens? Mechanically, one is trying to escape these type of conditionings by practice of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Mechanically trying to resist. Vishwamitra Muni, he was doing this, mechanically trying to resist. Whereas the method of yoga system, which Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna conscious yoga system, is that we engage in Krishna's service, and automatically we are away from sense gratification. Very nice example Prabhupada gives. He says, when you're chanting and your mind is constantly getting disturbed, even though you're trying to hear what you chant, but mind is getting a lot of disturbing, thoughts, and you're unable to focus on your chanting. Prabhupada says, chant loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because Krishna is going to control, you cannot control. That is the point. So we take help of Krishna to, rather help me to control my senses. In the other yoga system, the practitioner has to use his own strength, his own intelligence to control his senses, control his mind. That's why there is every chance of failing. In Krishna consciousness, because we are depending on Krishna for everything, there is no question of failure. Is sure success, Prabhupada says, provided you follow the system properly. Right? If you are failing, means system is not a problem. You are a problem because you are not practiced properly. Right? Many times what happens, we do something and we don't get results. We blame the system or we blame the process. No, process is perfect. Problem is with you because you are not practiced it the way it is supposed to be done. That's the problem. That's the point. So here Prabhupada uses one more nice word called yoga ladder. So all these different processes of yoga system, they are not independent systems. Prabhupada explained this particular thing in the verse 3 purport. Just like this Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, they're all different rungs of the ladder called yoga ladder. It's a very beautiful concept which Krishna develops further in the later chapters also. So yoga ladder means when you are practicing one specific discipline of yoga, say Dhyana yoga or Ashtanga yoga, you are called Ashtanga yogi, you come to one level of perfection. Right? And then you have to move further. That is not the perfection. That is not the end. You have to move forward. Just like Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga, the Jnanis think that impersonal Brahman is everything. That is one level of realization. It is partial realization. In Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, the Paramatma realization, that is also one level of realization. It is partial realization. You have to come to the ultimate realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is Bhakti Yoga. So there are different steps or rungs of a yoga ladder. It's like Prabhupada gives example of a building with 100 floors. So whichever floor you stop, that with that floor you get a particular specific name of that yoga. There are many yoga practices, but finally you have to reach the topmost stage for perfection. There are enough verses in Bhagavatam explaining this particular point. Unless you come to Bhakti Yoga, any other processes at that stage only. Right. So in that way, Krishna is going to explain here, yes, all the yoga processes, because you have to climb the steps only, finally. Climb the steps, the process is same. Whatever level you have come to, you are called by that yogi. Jnana yogi, dhyana yogi, right? In that way, Ashtanga yogi, different names are given. But finally, you have to become a bhakti yogi. That's what Krishna concludes this chapter. This chapter, last verse is that only. Yogina api sarvesham. The highest yogi is he who is constantly meditating on me. So like this, very nicely, the principles are being explained. And these are all principles common in all yoga systems. Understanding them will only further make our practice of chanting and reading and doing any spiritual activity or devotional activity more meaningful. That's why this chapter is, Prabhupada is explaining very in detail everything. Okay, so we'll close here. Anybody has anything to ask? Any comments? Okay. So I request all of you to go through these verses carefully.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, my question is from chapter 4.
Okay.
Prabhuji, in verse 10, Krishna is telling that who is freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past have become purified by knowledge of me. Prabhuji, we have to take knowledge first, or we have to get freed from attachment, fear, and anger? What? I didn't understand the concept of how can we get freed and how can we get love of God.
Okay. So for this, Krishna, rather Bhagavatam explains very clearly. Just perform the bhakti process, whether with attachment or no attachment, or whether with fear, whatever it is. You begin the bhakti process. Okay, generally, the conception we have is, unless you don't eat non-veg, you don't drink, I cannot chant Hare Krishna. Right? Many times people ask like this, Prabhuji, you are eating non-veg, we cannot chant Hare Krishna. No? So when you will chant, you'll never chant. Right? So Prabhupada says, you start chanting, slowly you will leave non-veg. So the process, Prabhupada says, chanting is the, is the beginning, is the means and the end.
Correct.
Bhakti process, every activity is like that. Any activity you start, that is gradually going to purify you, and eventually you'll become free from attachment, fear, as Krishna is saying, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mapapashitaha. Right? So here, the way Krishna has positioned this verse is having a context. What is the verse, previous verse? He says, one who is completely having this transcendental understanding about my appearance and activities, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, means a person who has transcended everything like this, because God has complete understanding about me, right? Which means complete understanding is what? When you perform devotion to Krishna, you are doing with that background understanding, and devotion to Krishna will give you Gyan Vairagya. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. What is the prayojana or the benefit of performing bhakti? As per the directions given by Guru Sadhu Shastra, you will get jnana and vairagya, both. Right? Jnana, about knowledge about who you are. This is the first installment of knowledge what you're going to get. When you start chanting Hare Krishna, the first installment is you will understand you are not the body, you are spirit soul. Correct? Otherwise, you may give a 1 hour lecture to somebody, you are not the body, you are spirit soul. You're not chanting, no point. So it's like this. We have to begin, but the whole point Prabhupada says chant, chant. When you start chanting, when you start, that is called bhakti in Kali Yuga. When you perform bhakti, all the things follow. Right? That is what Prabhupada says. And so, spiritual activity is such that everything else follows. The activity of chanting follows everything. That is the process. So this verse basically, Krishna is telling, there are different, when Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita any verse, no, you should see from the perspective of how other discipline of yogas, they look at. I told you just now, in Ashtanga Yoga or Jnana Yoga, the practitioner has to endeavor, he has to put his efforts. Jnana Yogi has to thoroughly get into the study of analysis of all scriptures, Vedas. A lot of effort. If he doesn't do, then he cannot succeed. Right? Ashtanga Yogi also, a lot of things we'll see in 6th chapter. So, from that perspective, Krishna is telling. Other yogis, they have to become first free from attachment, fear. Same thing Krishna said in 5th chapter, 27, 28 verse also. Vigatecha Bhaya Krodha. Right? So, any yoga process is first of all become free from material desires, material attachments, and make your mind fixed on me. Right? That is the process generally. But in bhakti process, from the point you start chanting, mind becomes fixed on Krishna. Other things follow. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Right? So it all means the same finally. Right? Either you follow that process, this process. Other processes are not easy, as Krishna explains in 12th chapter. This process is very easy. Right? Because as you start chanting Krishna by his holy name, he will give you the knowledge, chit, potency will flow. But you are not the body, your spirit, soul, you are part and parcel of Krishna. All these things, why it is actually striking us or it is making some sense? Because we are chanting. It's Krishna's mercy. Krishna is very happy when you start chanting. That is the, you can say, the bonus he is giving you or benefit he is giving you. Like when you work for somebody, you'll get salary. That when you start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna gives this knowledge, understanding to us. Otherwise, without chanting, Gita understanding is not possible. But Gita understanding will all go above the head. Academic understanding, no point. You have to chant. That is the whole Gita's message is that only. Right? If you are not chanting, if you are not chanting Holy Krishna's names, it will all be only some academic understanding, philosophical understanding, dry understanding. That is the point. Okay. So this verse Krishna is telling to come to this stage of the transcendental understanding, which Krishna explained in verse 9. This requires this much of endeavors from a person. He has to become free from attachment, fear, anger. The mind has to be fixed on me. Then his knowledge is fixed on me. Then he'll come to this stage. The other way, step-by-step process. Whereas Krishna is giving a lift process. Chant Hare Krishna, immediately take a lift and go to 100th floor. Whereas other process is step by step, very tired. 10 floors ho gaya, sust. So that process is again something will come, some Menaka will come, again you're disturbed. Right? Vishwamitra, same thing happened. So whereas in Krishna conscious process, you are on the top, already top. But you have to sustain that. That requires your free will be there. That requires some, your prayers to Krishna. Please keep me in that position. Because Prabhupada says, as soon as you chant Hare Krishna, that moment you are liberated. Problem is, after getting liberated, again you come back. Right? That's the problem. We are liberated, but again we come back. It's like there was a, one story I've heard. Short story, it'll take some more time. One bird was trained, parrot was trained to, say, I am in the cage, please release me. I am in the cage, please release me. He was shouting like this. So one person, neighbor, was saying, what is somewhere sound is coming, where it is. So he just, figuring out where the sound is coming. Then he found out from the neighbor, there's a nice parrot kept in a cage. It is talking like this. I am in a cage, please release me. I am in a cage, please release me. So he came and he was trying to see, I should release this. After all, he was from army background. He knows what is release, what is fight, what is freedom, all these things. So he thought, one day I should release this, So somehow he met the owner of that person and told, please release this. And it's not good. He's talking also, he's shouting also, not release. So finally, the other owner agreed, and this person, this army person got that cage and he opened. And after opening also, that parrot is shouting, please release me, I'm in the cage. Oh, I'm releasing you, open, come now. But that parrot is still sitting there only. So why I give this example story is basically, sometimes we talk of, doing that, doing this, I'm doing this, but we are not practicing. Simply lip service will be giving. Right? And it looks very nice for other person to hear, oh, so many things he's talking. But in practice, we have not brought it. It does not become Vijnana for us. That's the problem. So, Krishna is talking about what is that supposed to come to finally. As Krishna mentions in the last statement of this 10th verse of 4th chapter, Puta madbhavam agataha. Puta means what? Completely purified and transcendental love for me. You should develop that at stage. Right? When you are fully purified and come to the transcendental stage of loving Krishna, you're free from desire, anger, fear, your practice of knowledge, everything should come to this stage. Not coming is what is the point? You're like a parrot imprisoned. Same mentality going on. That's the point. Okay, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So we'll close now.
Prabhuji, I just read these lines today. I thought I'll share it. When I read it, when we chant, Krishna listens, and when we don't chant, Krishna waits.
Acha, very good. That's what it is. Because Krishna is there in our heart, no? Very nice. Because Krishna he is listening, he is seeing, he is waiting, he is doing everything for us. But we are not realizing it. We think, oh, I do whatever I want. That is our, ignorance. Krishna is seeing everything. Upadishta Anumanta. Right? He'll be very happy. Every chant you do, he's noting down. He's seeing. He's listening actually. Yes, you're right. He's listening. He's a personality. Like you and me. It's like I am talking and you're listening. You're talking, I'm listening. I thought Krishna is listening. Krishna is part of this whole session.
Yes.
He's also listening. Right? And he knows what is your intention, what is your motive. Right? Am I doing it only for just because I have to do it as a time pass? Or I'm doing it really for spiritual progress? He knows. Accordingly, he will award. That's what is the verse. Next verse. Bhumika ji. Etha ma prapadyante. As you surrender, I reciprocate. If you're attending the session as a time pass, it's because Prabhuji will be upset. Then Krishna will accordingly give you result. No, I have to understand Bhagavad Gita somehow. somewhere. Then that is a different mind. That's the point. Okay. Let's close now. We'll continue next session. Thank you, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.